The history of Overwatch's bugs and glitches, starting with 2016 on a nostalgia trip and ending with 2023 with Overwatch 2. What you just saw is the very first one in quite a controversial bug in 2016, where basically you could Genji super dash past a ledge, and it definitely took some technique to the point where the community argued maybe it shouldn't be a bug but a mechanic. Maybe you should allow the high skill tier Genji players to master the mechanic and make some insane plays, but Blizzard disagreed, patching it out in August of 2016. Now, all sources are down below, but you're not going to need a source to remember this if you're an OG Overwatch player, which was Roadhog's buggy hook. Oh my goodness, this thing was insanely buggy. Look at this, Widow behind a cover, doesn't matter, yoink, 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 you are dead. Some of the things you could literally hook through a car, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Or look at this, it had such weird interactions. If you were hooked midair, it would like send you flying. This thing defied all laws, physics, and gravity known to man. You don't need more than this. You get pulled around a corner and one shot. But the truth be told, Overwatch was just buggy in its first year. There were so many various bugs, it was insane. Flying into the air was such a common occurrence, it was kind of mind-blowing, and yes, they were game-breaking. They would change the outcome of your game. Look at this, look at this. Reinhardt's no longer on the payload, which could cause huge amounts of issues as he now has to run all back around to re-engage in the team fight. And then there were some visual bugs, which, as you can see here, this guy literally super dashed backwards, showing another bug, but the dragon would just be on screen. And let me just speed this up because it doesn't matter if you died, it would not reset. It was just a huge visual bug that was in the way and would cause some distractions, but it didn't end. Like I said, this video is about game-breaking bugs, and I'm definitely going to be showing you these. Look at this. This isn't lag. It might look like ping lag, but look, he is losing ammo. Yeah, this is an animation bug in which you would continuously throw one orb out as Zenyatta, and even if we sped it up and he reloaded, nope, you were stuck for the rest of the game like that. It was pretty brutal. But yeah, another big one was Torbjorn's turret. This thing would bug inside of walls so often, it was infuriating. This Reaper is trying to get rid of the Torbjorn turret, but fails to do so. It makes them lose the team fight, and you can see in the replay, it is quite literally inside the wall. Torbjorn's turret was insanely buggy. Now, I obviously can't cover everything, but I'm going to throw some visual bugs just because of how funny they are, like this Nightmare Fuel Pharah neck stretch. Yeah, I don't know. There's also another bug when it came to Reinhardt's shatter in which it wouldn't register even if the enemy was clearly hit, including enemies behind that enemy, and your entire freaking shatter was wasted. Again, hugely game-breaking, alongside some funny ones like Roadhog hanging from the ceiling. I mean... that laugh says it all. But you know how it is. 2016 is not quite over yet. It was the first year of Overwatch, and man, was it buggy. There was a bug where you could have infinite Junkrat traps, and if you used a Zenyatta to set them all off at the same time, you would get, well, let's call them Junkrat fireworks. You'd need to use Zenyatta in order for him not to die by the traps, and after about a second, they would launch into the air. Of course, it was partially harmful because of the trap glitch, but the explosion part was a ton of fun. Now, something else extremely harmful was just losing an animation. This dude is spamming bullets like it's a machine gun without any sort of animation recoil. Clearly game-breaking. Some, again, were strictly visual, and this guy clearly has some odd priorities. Though, to be fair, visual bugs that happen in-game are a lot more game-breaking, and as we head into 2017, sometimes Lucio's weapon or other weapons would spawn at the feet. He still got the groovy moves, though, even with a visual bug. Or this one was actually massive. While leaving the mech, sometimes you just teleport somewhere else on the map. It was clearly frustrating. What the fuck? Moving on from there, something huge is actually Tracer being stuck in the payload. This one's hilarious, because this first one that I'm showing you happened in 2017, but this bug is something that you'll see over and over. This is in PvE, but it happens throughout the years, PvP, PvE, everywhere. You could then, again, recall back into the payload, allowing it to stay still. The enemies can no longer push it. Obviously, game breaking. You could still die, but it was kind of hard to realize, and it was just abused a little bit too much. And funny enough, even though... here's the funny thing, and I mean this seriously. Blizzard would patch it, but just wait until we get into the later part of the video. It just comes back for a vengeance every single time. Now, 2017 is the year Doomfist was released, and let me just say he didn't get released without his bugs, especially his seismic slam. His ultimate Yeah, it was just the best way to glitch out of the map, let me say that. But not the only way, because even as we head into Overwatch 2, Reaper and a bunch of other heroes could find little spots on the map to, let's say, teleport to. So Reaper's a big one because of his teleport. You could teleport outside the map, making yourself invulnerable from the inside, but you could shoot from the outside. A little bit of a yikes. And even though Roadhog's hook was largely patched, it still had a ton of visual bugs like this one, in which it would just stay present. And speaking of visual bugs, some are way more game breaking than others. This one, the dude literally had the entire main menu in his game. Like, the entire main menu. I don't know how. Or this one, in which Widowmaker would shoot without scoping, which is technically game breaking because you could see more around you. I can't always explain every single bug, and I would argue that not every single one would need to be explained. Now, this next one uses the workshop to give unlimited time for the Doomfist ultimate, so you might say it's not fully a bug, but it's actually just being used to show an example of how buggy it truly is. While you wouldn't be able to make it this far outside the map and would fall to your death earlier, it just goes to show how far you could make it with the ult because of how game-breaking it was. Or what you're seeing in the background is yet another glitch that keeps coming back to haunt Blizzard, in which the spawn doors just won't open, which forever locks you inside the spawn as the game goes on without you. It was a little bit of a yikes. Also, sometimes Junkrat's trap just wouldn't register and would break instantly after hitting you, which is also pretty game-breaking for the enemy Junkrat. On the flip side, sometimes arrows would just freeze above you as if it hit some sort of wall, even if there wasn't anything for it to hit. On the flip side, some bugs are hard to notice without commentary, like this one. This Junkrat isn't just not moving, he's stuck between these two objects on the map until someone comes and decides to eliminate him. Of course, clearly hugely game-breaking, but the game-breaking bugs don't quite end there. Imagine trying to get back to your team after spawning just to get teleported through your spawn and die and have to wait for the timer. Huge yikes. Again, when I say some are game-breaking, I'm not trolling you guys. Some are very much game-breaking, including this. Imagine just charging straight through their support and just doing chip damage instead of eliminating them as intended. The next one, similar to Reaper, Sombra also had some weird teleport spots. Now, I will be honest, the one I'm showcasing isn't even the most broken because this one would just self-eliminate, which makes it kind of useless. But similar to the Reaper one, there was some instances in which you could find your way inside of a wall. Quite literally identical to this Mercy clip. Now, sometimes you'd have these weird little bugs in which you could actually not fall to your death. You'd stay in a stationary area, and sometimes they were advantageous because you could see the enemies, you could shoot the enemies, and sometimes they were just straight buggy. It was all black around you, and it was kind of useless, but game-breaking in the sense of if you couldn't find your way to eliminate yourself, you would be stuck down there until you do so. Heading into the 2020s, I will admit Overwatch was overall a little bit more polished, but sometimes, again, still game-breaking. Imagine not killing a Bastion just because he got Mei frozen. Well, yeah, that sometimes happened. When Mei froze an enemy, you couldn't kill him. Or this one, as you teleported, you could see the enemy spawn for a brief moment. Let's slow that down a little bit. Imagine knowing that a Junkrat's still in spawn and getting some valuable information. Or again, our boy Doomfist not being able to punch through such a small gap because the hitbox was super buggy. Just absolutely wild things like that. Or in this case, a ranked game being completely thrown for no other reason except a huge FU from Blizzard. Yeah, fall through the map, bye-bye, bye-bye, you lost your game. Like, imagine! This next one was more of a diva mech bug or tech bug similar to the Genji one. If you were to bring down your mech as you teleport, you could squish anyone at the other side of the teleporter, but very, very niche. And now we're in 2021. This next one is, I think, one of the most game-breaking. As long as this Genji doesn't die, he keeps his ultimate active forever. It was just there. It was just there. We're going to speed this up. We're going to speed this up. He's confused. He doesn't know what to do. Good guy Genji, not abusing it right away. But then he's like, okay, let's go have some fun. And again, as we speed it up, as we speed it up, as we speed it up, yeah, it can hit people. It's not just a visual bug. It can eliminate enemies. That's game breaking. This one is as well. These people got a draw while pushing the payload, which is actually supposed to be impossible. It happens. It happens. Something else that was very, very buggy, but more so mechanically buggy that Blizzard had to update later is original elevators. Look at this. This dude's just trying to use the elevator and it just doesn't let him use it properly. This next bug is even weirder. I don't know. Some of these are really hard to explain because I don't understand what caused them. What looks like high ping here is not, because this was seen in replay mode afterwards. Everyone was just stuck on one team. The enemy could move. As you can see, the Hammond is looking around, kind of confused, but the team was stuck. They were stuck. They just couldn't move, like as if they were frozen in time, literally sucked into the matrix and not allowed to play. I don't understand how this bug happened, but it surely did. And now we head into Overwatch 2 2022/2023. Yeah, the payload, back to getting inside of it, but this time with Sombra's teleport. Man, Blizzard just can't catch a break. Now this one, to be fair, to get it kind of stuck in which you would go with the payload was a little bit tricky. It wouldn't always work reliably, but when it did, it was obviously game-breaking, or the most infamous one to date, Bastion's infinite ult. Of course, I'm not going to leave that out. It would allow you to just keep shooting Bastion's ultimate as much as you wanted until the timer ran out. You know what? I'm just going to let Emong's clip speak for itself. But Overwatch 2 just launched with a bunch of bugs like Zebra getting stuck inside of the map out of nowhere, or this is one of my favorites, Genji, the new NASA project, going to visit the moon. I don't know how, but man, do I love it. Or here, people just getting stuck in spawn once more. Crazy. He even tried to go around and still. Nope. Just not working. The bugs were quite insane. Or this one actually happened more than once. You would Zarya bubble, but it just wouldn't register. Or Genji's deflect simply not working. Overwatch 2 was littered with bugs.